And welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different but still very much football related. I'm going to be reviewing my game week 1 team of fantasy Premier League football, which went very well, I have to say, for the most part. Very glad to be over the average. I can't remember the last time I actually done the first game week of fantasy football and have been above the average, so I'm very, very happy to be able to say that. And yeah, I mean, listen, there's not much content at the moment in FIFA. We're into that off-season part where there's literally nothing at all coming out really of note, and so I thought, we might do a few fantasy football videos. I didn't do a video kind of covering what my first team was initially, like I kind of do some years, but I think maybe it could be something good to kind of put onto my videos, not just other than, FIFA having like this added as well, like a couple of videos a week or something. That would be pretty good. There also might be a kind of slight reduction in the quality of the webcam because I'm using the new one on my Chromebook. I'm not using the one that used to be on my desktop, so that might be a little bit slightly lower, but on the whole, it shouldn't be too bad. But basically, yeah, I got over the average. And in this video, we're going to kind of have a look at the team that I picked, how they done, who I was happy with, who I thought maybe slightly disappointed me a little bit, and then what I plan to go for from game week 2. Let me know how you guys got on as well in your first week. And I think there was one thing that was key. And if you had these two players, you were pretty much guaranteed to at least get the average if you had the two of them. And if you captained, and if you did end up captaining one of them, which I did with Salah, you had to have both Fernandes and Salah. You had to have them. They are fantastic. They have been over the course of last season. And I think you really had to, I mean, obviously having one was literally a must, but having two was probably the key as well to being able, to at least get the average in terms of points. So I go to my points here, we'll kind of see what I got. So I got 92 points. That'll go to 95 points once Antonio's bonus points are added. He had a pretty insane game, but there are just under 7 million players that will go to 7 million before the start of the next game week. I have no doubt about that. A few people might have missed out on the first week, but yeah, overall rank 672,000. That might change again once the bonus points have been put in place. But listen, I'm happy with that. It is good. As long as I'm above the average points, then that's fine. Obviously, that should always be your target, to at least try and beat the average score, because then you're doing better than the majority of other people who play this game. And obviously, with there being almost 7 million people playing the game, to be comfortably inside the top million, I'm completely fine with that. But let's talk through the team. Let's talk through. I didn't pick anyone for the Friday game. I was tempted to go with Ivan Toney. In the end, I thought I'll go with the tried and tested of Antonio and Ings because they are reliable in the Premier League. They're going to deliver. And Ivan Toney is one of those players that, yes, he could be absolutely insane and he could go and score in that first game. I wasn't necessarily too sure, and obviously Brentford, ended up winning the game. Ivan Toney played pretty well. Was arguably maybe unlucky not to score a goal, but I think he could be a good player to be able to go for, but I don't think Brentford are going to be as good in every single game as what we saw in that first game. Obviously, being home for that first game, having all the fans there and stuff like that. But he's a decent shot to have, but personally, I think Antonio and Ings are better shots to have. The tried and tested, the more likely to deliver, in my personal opinion, on a consistent basis. And that was proven in the first game week. Of course, that might not continue, but it was certainly proven in the first game week. So yeah, didn't go with anyone for the Friday game. I got the bench there. Cantwell got 1 point. Disappointed not to see Veltman play. Apparently, there was something. He might have been in certain close contact with someone that had COVID or something like that. If you click on him, it says it didn't happen until literally the team news came out on the Saturday. But it says he's just lacking match fitness, but I think it's not actually that. I think there's a little bit more to it than that. He probably would have played otherwise, but I'm not too bothered in the end. I did have him on the bench. Or did I have Timiskas? No, I think I did have him on the bench anyway. Yeah, I did. Because I wasn't sure if Timiskas was going to play, but I put Timiskas in the starting 11, and he got 6 points, which was fantastic. Played pretty well for the most part as well. Had a decent shot on goal in the match. He looked good from corners as well, to be fair. He could actually beat the first man, which is quite something. There's very few Liverpool players that can actually beat the first man from a corner. He can do that. I've always thought, when I've ever seen him, the very, very few glimpses that I've seen him in various competitions, I've always thought he actually looked really, I thought he actually looked half decent. And that was proven because he was very, very good in that game against Norwich. Disappointed by Martinez. Of course, Villa went 3 goals down in that game against Watford. which is very, very disappointing into the newly promoted club. But of course, Ings got that penalty in the 97th minute and was thankfully able to score, which is obviously very, very good. If not, he would have blanked for me. Barnes got a clean sheet, didn't get. Of course, it was just a 1-0 win for Leicester. So Barnes got the 2 points of playing through the game, and obviously that extra point for the clean sheet. I have no doubt he'll play well in other matches. Of course, Leicester won that Community Shield against Manchester City, and they got that win as well yesterday against Wolves. He will stay on my team. He hasn't got actually that much of a high ownership. I think it's under 25%, 13%, and I don't think that'll increase too much after the first game. So I'm fine with that, to be quite honest. Mason Mount played as well, which I was happy. Wasn't a guaranteed starter, but I thought I'd risk it with him. Thankfully, he did start and got the clean sheet and also the assist for one of the goals as well, which is obviously pretty good. Luke Shaw, that early game for the Man United game, of course, it was disappointing because if they didn't concede that Luke Ayling goal, they would have got the clean sheet. So many people going with Luke Shaw. To be honest, I was kind of like, I wasn't sure whether to go with, at the start of the game week, I wasn't sure whether to double up on the United defenders of Shaw and Wan-Bissaka or just to go Wan-Bissaka because, Shaw has ridiculously high ownership. Wan-Bissaka, who plays on the other side, doesn't have, obviously still has a decent ownership, but nowhere near the level of Luke Shaw. I kind of wish I might have gone with Wan-Bissaka now. I think they're both the same price, or maybe even Wan-Bissaka might be $500,000 cheaper, I'm not sure. But yeah, listen, I'm not going to transfer out Luke Shaw or anything like that now. I'm, for the most part, happy with my back line. Of course, Fernandes was fantastic going and getting that hat-trick against Leeds, which was obviously... I can't sit there and say that I enjoy United winning matches by 5-1, but it softens the blow when you've got a player from United in your team that's at least bagged you 20 points. I suppose that isn't too bad. And then, of course, Salah was absolutely class in that game against Norwich. Fernandes and Salah, I genuinely can't see me letting go. Unless they get injuries, I can't see me letting go either of them throughout the whole season. Even if they go into a bit of bad form, even if we go into a period where one of them maybe doesn't score or assist for 2 or 3 games on the run, they are players that have been tried and tested in this league. Certainly Mohamed Salah, even to an extent for Bruno Fernandes, they will always come back and they will always perform. Fernandes might have slightly tailed off towards the back end of last season, but we started this season completely on it from the word go. And I think he'll continue that into the next game against Southampton. We'll talk about Everton for a second. Of course, they beat Southampton 3-1. They were getting beaten that game. I think it was Adam Armstrong that got the opener for that, which was very, very disappointing. But then I think Everton looked pretty comfortable after that. Digne, again, so just like Luke Shaw, conceding that 1 goal. But then, comfortably winning the match. Apart from that, Everton scoring 3 goals for them. A decent start to them for their season. And yeah, with the Aston Villa thing, just a bit disappointing. I couldn't believe it, conceding 3 goals against Watford. Shocking, to be quite honest, but I was just so happy that Ings was able to come up and get that late goal. Then on to Sunday's games, Kufal. Maybe it wasn't the best decision to go with him, but in the end, he looked still pretty dangerous. He was going down that right-hand side, putting balls into the box. Was unlucky not to get an assist. He made a cross that went to Antonio that hit the post, that led to the penalty. Antonio then has the penalty. It's saved. So I was gutted because it was going to lose. I think you lose like 4 or 5 points for missing a penalty, which is absolutely massive. But then Sousa got the rebound, which meant that in FPL, it's not an official assist, but it's an FPL assist for Antonio, and he didn't get the reduction on the penalty miss. So I was very lucky there, thankfully. And just a few minutes before that, he had got the assist, of course, of Ben Rama's goal. And then after the penalty and all that kind of situation, he then got his own goal for himself. From a Ben Rama assist. So I was very happy with that. So it was 2 assists, 1 official assist, but 2 assists and a goal for Antonio. I'm so glad to put him in. Hopefully he'll stay fit. Now, my problem is if we go into our next game week now, my problem is, and I maybe should have thought of this a little bit more, and that's the thing, you've always got to think ahead in FPL by like a good couple of weeks. And the perfect thing to think about at the start of this week was I should have really looked a little bit more towards the international break. So of course we have 3 games, 3 different game weeks, and then we go into the international break. I probably should have maybe spent a little bit more time looking at every single team, and I did to an extent. So I looked at Aston Villa's first 3 games, and on paper they look very, very good. And I think despite them getting beat 3-2 in the first game, they showed spirit to come back into the game. But there were teams like West Ham, which I should have maybe kept out for. West Ham have got Palace, I think, in the final game. But the problem is they got Leicester in this next one. And that doesn't bode well for having Kufal, I don't think. But anyway, I'll explain my situation. I've kind of played around with my team already. I was having a little bit of a look of it. Now, my definites to stay in, Fernandes, sure, will stay in for that game against Southampton. I think Southampton are really going to struggle this season. They need to sort something out. I still think Ward-Prowse will be out for the next game as well, I believe. But yeah, I'm going to 100% keep Fernandes and Shaw in the team. Tsimikas and Salah, I will keep. Tsimikas, it wasn't like if he had a bad performance, I'd be thinking, right, I've got to get him out. And Milner might go and fill in at left back because Robertson will not play in that game against Burnley. I'm very, very confident for that. So I was glad the fact that Tsimikas kept a clean sheet, had for the most part a very, very good performance. Wasn't just good on the defensive part, he actually looked half decent coming up on the attack as well, which is really, really good and bodes well for a game against Burnley, who got beat by Brighton on the first game of the season. I fancy Tsimikas to maybe even, hopefully not just get, obviously if he gets the clean sheet, fantastic, but maybe even get like an attacking return, like an assist from a corner. We know he's on corners. We know he can beat the first man, which is really, really good. So I think he is someone at 4 million, and he might rise slightly in price going into that. He might go up to 4.1 or 4.2 or whatever. I think he's a good player to get in your team because he, the chances are he might even play in the game against Chelsea as well. And fair enough, that's Chelsea away, but I think he could be a good. He was a good player to put into at least onto your bench for the start of the FPL season once you knew that Robertson was injured. I'm very, very glad they made that decision. Salah, of course, will stay. He'll stay as captain as well. I'd struggle to captain a United player, to be honest, but yeah, Salah will stay as captain. Mount will stay because I think Ziyech will remain injured, and I think Mount is such a key player for this team, and I think that if Lukaku comes in for that next game week, I think someone like a Timo Werner might get even moved out, to be honest, and we'd see, Pulisic and Mount as part of the attack. I think Mount is a lot more likely to stay in than a Timo Werner or whatever. So I'm happy to keep him. And Arsenal poor. They look poor against Brentford. They really, really did. So I have no worries in keeping Mount in that team there. Ings will stay. Martinez will stay against Newcastle. Yeah, okay, Newcastle scored 2 goals, but they conceded 4 ultimately. And yeah, I know that Aston Villa themselves conceded 3 goals against a newly promoted team, but you've got to think at the same time, it's Watford to come back to the Premier League. They're at home for their first game of the season. The fans are back for the first time in full capacity in God knows how long. So that was probably a poor decision on me playing Martinez. I should have gone with Raya from Brentford. I should have backed a newly promoted goalkeeper. Bjorkman or whatever his name is from Watford looked like a good goalkeeper to back as well. But obviously, Watford ended up conceding 2 goals themselves. But I'll keep Ings. I think he'll start. I have no doubt about that. I reckon we might see Leon Bailey as well come in for that game. He came on and got an assist. I reckon he might start that next game, which could be good because he looked pretty good when he came on. Antonio, of course, will stay. And the thing is, I don't know now for the defence. I got Todd Cantwell coming on. I thought he looked all right against Liverpool. I got to be honest. I quite like Todd Cantwell. I think he's actually a really good player. My decision is I go with Kufal for the defence, but then obviously I got Barnes at the same time. I will be keeping Barnes. And this is my problem. I'm happy with the whole team, but it's Leicester West Ham is where my slight issue that I maybe could have planned it out a little bit better. Maybe I shouldn't have gone with the West Ham defender. I don't know who else I should have gone with. I should have gone with a different club. Maybe I should have doubled up on United defenders. Or maybe doubled up on the Liverpool defenders because I do have like 1.5 million in the bank that might get used towards Lukaku after the international break or something like that, or maybe towards a Harry Kane where if he goes to City or whatever. But yeah, I should have. Listen, West Ham could easily keep a clean sheet against Leicester, but I don't know. I don't think it was maybe the best to double up on 2 West Ham players. I mean, Antonio was a great decision. I have no doubt in that, but maybe Kufa might have been slightly bad. I'm not too sure, but it's either I go with a former midfield with Cantwell, or I go with the 4-4-2 again. Have Kufal. So if I put Kufal in ahead of Cantwell, I literally will keep the same team as last week. Veltman. I'll have to have a look at Brighton's website. I'll have to keep a look on their website over the next few days to kind of see if he stays, if he's going to be a contender to play or whatever. I will have to wait and see on that because home to Watford, I fancy Brentford, not Brentford. I fancy Brighton to do all right in that game and to keep a clean sheet. In an ideal world, if I knew that Veltman was going to start, I'd pick Veltman, no question about it. But that'll be my choice. Ideally, I want to go with Veltman. If not, probably Cantwell. I think last resort might be Kufel, to be honest, but we'll wait and see on that. But at the moment, that'll be the team that I'll pretty much go for. Happy with the first game week. They're looking forward to the second one. Might do a few other videos in midweek on what to do. But ultimately, will I be making a transfer going into game week 2? No, I won't. I want to go into that third game week with 2 transfers available. I don't want to use up a transfer for this second game week. I don't need to. I'm comfortably ahead of the of the average. I don't have any major fitness or suspension issues, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to make any transfers. I think that's the right move to be able to go for long term, to try and get Lukaku into my team. But anyway, guys, that will finish off this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.